Okay? You know, when I came here today, the most amazing thing for me was that the IE wing that we had built from 1972 to 1974 is gone. It's disappeared. And yet I'm still here. Isn't that amazing?
I loved the energy in the school here, and it was a change for me. I had spent several years prior to this working in some of the East Side schools, so that coming to the West Side, it was quite different. But people at that time often referred to Kitsilano as being the East Side school on the West Side of Vancouver. I didn't find that necessarily the case.
One thing about Kits, it was great because I think it was an East Side, West Side school. And it was wonderful to be here.
I loved the French immersion, and the programme Cadre Français provided just some really nice options, and working with a lot of really kind students and some wonderful, wonderful teachers in the French immersion and programme Cadre.
And I started in, I think it was grade 7 to Kitsilano. It was very exciting move. There was a lot of fun. I was in the orchestra, so I lugged the violin around all the time. And I can't remember that we had concerts, but I carried on with the violin afterwards and into the Kamloops Symphony for a while.
Oh, wow.
And so most of my extra activities were with music, not sports.
One of the memories actually that sticks out was I remember doing it was probably a radio interview or something, and just, yelling, saying, "It doesn't get any better than this." And that was like a classic, kind of high school 17. Kid thing to say, and we had won back to back, and, it was like just the camaraderie and, those friendships, which, is definitely something I notice now after playing overseas, where I've had some great teammates, but it's just such a different environment than it is in high school. So having that, just guys you go to class with every day and friends of yours, and we had a really good group, and as Simon said, pretty eclectic. It was really quite a range of personalities, but we all got along really well. I don't remember ever having any real disputes or much conflict in practice, and I remember it always being pretty cohesive. We worked hard together and played hard, and there was never too many issues. So it was neat to have that, and I have quite a vivid memory of kind of being surrounded by all the guys and have the headset on and saying that into the radio, and doesn't get any better than this. That was the height at the time.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. But
I didn't know quite what to expect. I was asked to oversee the Pacific Alternate program up on Broadway, and also was the vice principal looking after the vinery. So I had a lot of work with the special education students, and I really enjoyed that because they saw so many of the kids sort of really turn their lives around.
1944, the annual came out that year, and it was, the heading on the front page was "The Cadet." So everything was taught about the Army, Navy, and Air Force.
I was a sergeant major, and I was not a very aggressive person.
What was a pain in some respect was some of our male students who all of a sudden found that they were going to be in a place where they could order other students around. All of a sudden we're wearing stripes and uniforms, either the Navy, the Army, or the Air Force.
yeah.
And so there was another group in the school, males, that sort of frowned on some of the things that were happening to do with the cadets.
It wasn't any chore. It was fun, and it was in Connaught Park.
Our field of play was down here at Connaught Park, where we played mainly the football games and the rugby games. We played very hard. We had very, very good athletes.
We had all the pieces that you really need to win a high school championship. We had depth, we had height, we had shooting, and we worked hard. Kids worked hard, and never ever questioned the work that we had to put in. So I think we shouldn't go anywhere without discussing Chris Barbie Porteous and saying that him and Levon were definitely the two the best high school players I've ever coached, and they certainly they were the yin and yang of a successful group, a group that won 4 titles in 7 years.
We spent a lot of time on our bikes every Sunday. I was 12 before I had my first bike. And then we would be all over the city, just gone for the whole day, and take a lunch and around UBC, around Stanley Park, just biking all day. And it was wonderful. The traffic wasn't bad, but it was wonderful. Nobody ever worried about where we were.
But it's wonderful to see the things that were happening in music and in the arts. And the arts program, the art teachers were absolutely fantastic. I found the business ed teachers really, really excellent as well. And a lot of the kids were really super prepared for post-secondary school programs. Oh, I'm rambling here.
My 3 close friends and myself did not go to any of the hops. Okay?
No.
We're too busy out on the playing field. One of my close friends had a cousin who went to Kitsilano, but she was the top athlete in the school, voted that, and the top student, which was surprising. And her parents would not let her go to a dance.
Oh yeah. Smart parents.
Well, but they were extremely popular.
Were they?
Yeah,
And where would they held those dances? In the gym?
right in the gym.
I see.
Yeah, and they didn't have any problem getting a lot of students to help put up decorations, get the punch ready, and everything else.
But Kits had a special spirit, special school spirit, and the teams, all the teams were absolutely fabulous. The Blue Demons were challenged, by other schools around the city, but in whether it was in basketball or rugby, those were, I think, the 2 major ones that I recall were the favorites, and the well supported.
I think the attitude is, I've started doing a little bit of coaching, and I'm curious to pick Simon's brain just about how we were as kids, because I remember being pretty driven, coachable, yeah, having a pretty good work ethic, not thinking I knew it all, and that definitely seems to be a bit of a theme as kids feel sort of entitled, or as if they kind of already know how things go. So I would say my advice is to just put in that work and realize where you stand in the big picture. There's in the big picture of things. And I was just telling a story to some of the kids where when I was around 15, I was starting to get pretty good and starting to get a bit cocky and kind of thinking I was a man. And I had one of my cousins, my older cousin, who used to play with me in the street and play pickup and stuff, and he said, "Man, you're nothing, you think you're hot stuff, and really, there's always somebody that's better than you." And that really stuck with me, and that was something that really helped me, because I'm sure I was the best guy in BC and I was the tallest and all that, but I went and sat on the bench for 3 years in Pittsburgh because really I was not that good. I mean, I was good, but in the grand scheme of things I wasn't that good. So kind of keeping that in mind, I think, is tough when when you're in a nice, comfortable situation, especially you got this big school and a nice gym, and you think you're hot stuff, but the world's a different place.
The community, I think, really supported the school and what the school was doing, And I think that's really important, and that message was part of what the principals that I worked with at the time, and I tried to get out into the community, that we cared about the kids. We did want them to be in the school. We did want them to be safe. We didn't want them roaming the streets during class time. But all in all, I look back on my 4 years at Kitsilano as having been just four of the most wonderful years I had as a secondary school administrator.